All right, I'm here from Gallagher, Iba with the O'Colly as part of our continued coverage of the OSU men's basketball beat. I'm joined with the fellow beat reporters Ben Hutchens and Chris Becker, a couple guys also covering the team. We're breaking down tonight's home season opener for the Cowboys, the basketball season opener. Guys, 85-65 win. Oklahoma State knocks off Texas Southern. What were your initial thoughts on the game?
Well,
Yeah, go for it, Ben. Go for it.
okay, I was gonna say it's been a long day. We were all, at Boone Pickens Stadium at 11 a.m. today. There before the trophy ceremony, I'm in bed. I have my polo on, so it looks like I have somewhat, professionalism. But I'm in bed. I'm doing this, unashamedly. But hey, this game, it was a lot of fun to watch. The score, 20-point difference, so it wasn't like a nail biter in that way. But for fans looking to enjoy a nice, basketball afternoon, it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of highlights, a lot of plays. With Cade Cunningham, you're never going to be bored. Rondo Walker showed out. So, Sam, I had a blast watching this game.
Yeah, this game was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch if you wanted basketball. After a long day of football, starting at about 9:30, going to about 3, maybe 4:30 is when I left Boone Pickens. So from there, from 9:30 to 4, you got football, and then if you want basketball, this is a good game to watch. It was a little sloppy there at times. A good amount of fouls going on. Texas Southern had 18 turnovers. OSU had 9. But it was a good game. It was a good day to have some basketball, and it was a good way to end the night.
Yeah, guys, I'll say it's just hit 11 o'clock here, so I'm still in Gallagher, so I've officially been in Boone Pickens since 11 for that game, and then I'm here. But, guys, it also kind of looked like it might be for a little bit a long night for the Cowboys with Cade Cunningham getting into a little bit of foul trouble early. What did y'all think about that?
Yeah, OSU's no stranger to foul trouble. You got to remember last year there was a lot of foul trouble going around for the team, but tonight it hit early. It's expected. This team's full of freshmen, so you got to think about that. Caleb Boone had 4 fouls. Cade Cunningham had 3. Keelan Boone had 2. Isaac Likely had 3. Moncrief had 4. So a lot of early foul trouble for the Cowboys. Cade with all 3 in the first half. But they were able to bounce back. Luckily, Farron talked about it after the game in the post game. This team has a lot of depth, and that helps, especially when you have foul trouble like this, and you have guys who can step up and replace these guys. I know it's hard to. We talk about replacing Cade Cunningham. That's almost impossible to do, but it helps when you have guys who can somewhat take off the workload of him when he has to go sit on the bench for a little bit.
Yeah, now, Chris, that's a great point I think you bring up about OSU's past trouble with fouls. I know last year Yornay had a big issue with that, and whenever Yor would get into foul trouble, Caleb Boone was still developing, and I think whenever Yor would leave the game, we would really see a decline in OSU's play. So I think that's maybe a little bit what fans were expecting when Cade Cunningham, our best player, our star player, he's gonna go out of the game. What's gonna happen to our team? But guys, we didn't see a decline in this team's play at all. I kept track of the margin. Prior to Cade exiting, the Cowboys were up 3, and then when Cade, resumed his entrance into the game in the second half, after a good 7 minutes of play, the lead was at 5. So the Cowboys actually built on that lead without their playmaker Cade Cunningham. Rondo Walker was a big reason why.
Ben, this is kind of astounding to me. Oklahoma State had 37 bench points tonight. That's a lot of bench points, especially coming off a game, the season opener last, Wednesday, where there weren't really a lot of bench points going around. And like you said, Rondo Walker was a huge part of that for the Cowboys. Local kid, he really got going. I think he had 19, which almost paced the Cowboys. Cade Cunningham had 20, but Rondo Walker came off the bench and provided a huge spark to the Cowboys tonight. He hit like 3 shots in a row from the same corner, nothing but net on the threes. And I think that was kind of the moment that you could really tell, that was when the Cowboys pulled away.
Yeah, and really, the shooting was much improved as a whole, team-wide this game. The Cowboys opener last week, or earlier this week, I should say, before Thanksgiving, the shooting was not great. I know that free throws were at like 51%. Three-point shooting, it seemed like nothing was falling. Cowboys still won that game, but it was not pretty. And people kind of expected, the law of averages to kind of even out, shooting to get a little bit better for the Cowboys today, and it certainly did. From three-point land, the Cowboys were 41.7%, going 10 for 24, and from the field, they shot almost 50% from the field. So a much improved just shooting day. I don't know, Chris, do you think maybe the Cowboys were getting better looks? Maybe defensive kind of differences, or do you think they were just knocking them down?
Yeah, I think it depends on all those things. I'm being completely honest. I think it was just a mix of, kind of settling in a little bit. Like I said before in my previous point when I talked about, foul trouble, this team's young. This team is really young. So, the first game, it was ugly. They pulled away with a W. But, moving into this week, now it's just building on that experience and gaining more and more. You mentioned 3 points. They went 7 of 25 in that first game. That is not good. And they missed their first 11. Yeah. So, I mean, that's really bad. And, today, Fair and Flavors was on 3 of 5 from 3, knocked down, scored 11 points. And we mentioned, I'm going off topic a little bit, but Isaac Likely, he's been playing really well. He's not filling up the stat sheet, but he's still playing well. He's facilitating well from the point guard position. But if we remember last year, you guys kept track of last season. Go back to last year when he left left for a couple months with mono. That Cowboy team, that's when the season went down, right? Is when he went out of the lineup, or he wasn't playing well, or and he came back and wasn't playing well. That season kept going down. But now, he doesn't have to fill up the stat sheet because these guys are around him, and this team doesn't rely heavily on him. It relies on him to facilitate, but not to fill the stat sheet, score, assist, do everything. He's playing his game, and he's got guys to dish it off with Cade, Farron, Caleb, Keelan, all of them. Everyone's playing well.
Hey, Ice is knocking down threes now too.
Hey,
no doubt. And guys, you just remember back to last year. When Ice left and mono, that offense, which was it was a ranked team at the time, I believe. The Cowboys just became stagnant, and they became a completely different team. You weren't really getting any penetration. The offense, they were putting up 30, 40. It felt like they were putting up 25 points a half. It was really rough.
They started off 7-0, and then lost their next, lost and put on a losing streak.
Yeah, and then I think, especially it really manifested this game. The Cowboys got out in transition. The offense was humming. They were getting easy shots. It wasn't a back-breaking offensive possession every time like we saw it coming in years past where, you might dribble around and put up a last-second shot that's contested. The Cowboys were penetrating, kicking to, like you said, a rondelle in the corner. Flavors was the benefit of some nice dishes. And the offense, it was, it's pretty cliche to say, but I think it really built on each other. And when it finally got humming, I think we really truly saw kind of the potential of what this team could be here tonight a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of, you mentioned it a little bit. The last couple of years, the offense this team's relied on defense. Not as much as, Virginia, a team like Virginia has, but, this offense just hadn't been, efficient, hadn't been clicking at all really in the past couple of years. And this year, like you said, they're not waiting till late in the shot clock. They're getting shots up early. They're getting up rebounds. They're getting second chance points, and they're getting out of there and halfway through the shot clock. They're getting down, scoring, and running back on defense. And, that I think that's a big reason of why OSU was able to pull away late. I think they just wore down Texas Southern with that fast pace of play. And, they were flying around the court. And depth was a big part of that. And what's even scarier is they're missing two players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're missing two players, and they're still, flying around everywhere.
Hey, Ben, something I wanted to ask you about. You were at the game here. It was, there was certainly a significant element of GIA, Gallagher Arena, missing in general. Like the student section, everything looked a little different tonight with the COVID seating precautions and everything. I'm just curious, as someone who was, here in the game watching it, what were your thoughts on just the general atmosphere of the game and how it all laid out? It certainly looked different from years past.
Yeah, GIA, it's not the same, but I thought it wasn't bad. I know anyone who was at the game heard the guy over to our right giving yelling out a lot to Weathers, the ex-OSU player there. So I guess that's kind of the thing that sticks in my mind. Although that didn't necessarily give a great sample size to the entire energy found inside GIA. GIA got pretty loud when Matthew Alexander Moncrief slammed that ball down at the end of the second half. So I was impressed with GIA, the crowd, the liveliness, the energy. I think, compared maybe to like the Tulsa football game, I think this crowd felt a little bit more lively than the football game. That's just my kind of like, I guess, opinion. Chris, did you kind of think the same thing? Were you watching on TV? Did like the benches, everything was different. The placement of everything, the student section was pulled back to the 200 and 300 level. Did it look weird on TV, or what was your vantage point there?
Yeah, so I didn't get to go to the game. I went to the football game and then went back home and watched it on at my house. But when I was watching it on TV, it just felt different, And I think that's been the way. It's not just a GIA thing. It's not just this game. It's just an all around basketball, like every basketball game. It just felt a little different. And I could definitely hear the fans though. It was on ESPN Plus, so the announcer a little quieter, and you could hear a lot of more natural fan noise, and you could hear the fans on the TV. It wasn't nearly as loud as it normally is, but you could hear them. But yeah, the atmosphere is fine. I think that's one thing that a lot of people were worried about in football, and we saw this in football at the beginning of the year. You mentioned the Tulsa game. A lot of people were worried about what this atmosphere is going to be like with 25% capacity. And Mike Gundy said it, and Mike Boynton, mentioned it today. The difference because you've been in there when there's 60,000 people, or in Gallagher 30,000 people or whatever, and there's just obviously the difference, but the atmosphere is still electric. It's still Gallagher, it's still OSU basketball. The fans who get to go, they're cheering their loudest. Yeah, it's a good time. And the atmosphere seems good. The atmosphere seems fine on TV.
One thing Coach Boynton said in the post-game presser, he was, saying he still believes that Gallagher is the top location, or the top arena in the country to play basketball. It's the top venue in the United States, and it's one thing to take a gauge of the atmosphere, for or not even a conference game against Texas Southern, but then you have to imagine teams like Kansas or potentially number one Baylor coming in here, and once Oklahoma State can get a little steam built up and a little momentum rolling of their own, you got to assume that it'll only improve in kind of what we see here on the season. And hey, Coach Boynton even said, maybe further down the line, the season's pretty long. Maybe the seating precautions could lighten up, or he's not sure, but it'll certainly be something to keep an eye on. I got to ask you guys, which do you think got the louder roar? And Ben, I'm not sure your thoughts on this. Which do you think got the louder roar, Matthew Alexander's dunk or the introduction of Cade Cunningham in the starting lineup for the first time?
Both got a, I guess, well-deserved loud cheer, loud roar from the fans. Look, it was Mam's dunk, man. That thing, that lit up the crowd. Everyone, after that play, you kind of saw people get up and leave their seats like, all right, this game's over. That's all I needed to see. The exclamation point, the cap on the tremendous sports day in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So, Sam, I think from a sheer volume standpoint, I'm going to have to go with the Matthew Alexander Moncrief dunk.
Yeah.
Chris, you're somewhat of an expert on high-flying dunks, I assume. What did you think of that dunk?
I mean, Ben hit a nail on the head. That was an exclamation point. It sealed the 20-point victory. It got the Cowboys to win. I didn't get the Cowboys to win. It helped get the Cowboys to win. But it was Matthew Alexander Moncrief doing Matthew Alexander Moncrief things. I don't know what else to say. But I have one more question before we start wrapping this up. Texas Southern, you look at this team, Mike Boynton mentioned it. This isn't a team of, this isn't a normal SWAC team. This is a team full of high-level D1 talent who, just had some, either bad luck or got into some trouble. And they're playing down at Texas Southern. Michael Weathers, former Oklahoma State Cowboy, down there. He scored 13. Alexander down there, he scored 22 from Georgetown. He came into Stillwater last year and, beat them. These are guys who played high-level D1 basketball for, good programs who are now at Texas Southern out of the SWAC. So I think as the season goes on and they get into the role and they start playing their conference schedule, I think Texas Southern might, end up being a nice win for the Cowboys. It was a good test early on, a good veteran test for a really young team. I keep mentioning that, but, that's what this team is. There's no other way to describe this team as young and raw.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be hammered again and again. And Chris, Texas Southern, they're there preseason. They were picked number one to finish in the SWAC. So, like we said, Texas Southern could be easily a name we hear Greg Gumbel saying. And from the SWAC, we have Texas Southern making the NCAA tournament. Yeah. So, Texas Southern, like you said, and Coach Boynton said, they have some guys that they're not on Texas Southern because they're bad. They may have had other things.
They have some ballers on that team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, hey, the win by 20 points, it wasn't a nail-biter like the first Oklahoma State game. So I think that's even more credit to this team that they came out and dominated. As much as it's good to get, like you said, Chris, the really young team experience hitting clutch free throws and running plays in the crunch time, I got to assume Coach Boynton was pretty happy with this 20-point win tonight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is 2 straight quality wins for the program. UT Arlington's not a that's not a team to sleep on, and that they proved that they came in and almost upset the Cowboys. So this is gonna be a good season. The Cowboys are gonna keep looking to roll. They got a big test coming up against Marquette, and we'll see what happens there. But that's gonna be the telltale sign of what's gonna happen here, because this team has to they go from a good game to gain experience, another good game to gain experience, and then an extremely tough road test against the Dwayne Wade Fighting Eagles.
Marquette is always a team I have advancing at least a couple rounds in my bracket with the way they always shoot the ball and always show up for the big games. So yeah, Chris, I think this is going to be a really big road test. But hey, I feel good about this Cowboy team. Better than I did earlier this week before I had seen them play. Cade's the real deal. The Boone twins, both of them, I think are going to take their game to another level this season. We already saw Keelan do that. Yeah, we already saw Keelan do that in the first game. These freshmen look good. Guys, the new era is starting, and it's pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch this team grow throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Got to see the emergence of some 3-point threats. Maybe a guy that'll step in behind Ferron Flavors potentially, and Rondell Walker, see them hit some shots. But yeah, like we said, it's not that hard to find I guess positives when it's a 20-point margin of victory. But I think that they're there for a reason, and that this team showed some good signs tonight. And like we said, Texas Southern, there's going to be some really good teams rolling in the Big 12 like Texas Tech and Texas, or Kansas and Baylor. There'll be a lot harder teams that roll through Gallagher-Iba Arena that Oklahoma State will probably not win by 20 and be on cruise control. But it was certainly, for what we have, small sample size, it looked to be a good start of the season.
Yeah, all right. I can say better. Yeah.
All right. For Chris Becker, Ben Hutchens, I'm Samuel Hutchens, bringing you, along with great coverage from other guys all throughout the Ocali. Looking forward to bringing you the great coverage throughout this season.